Wake up, log in, it's time to learn. Grab your notes.
Okay, we welcome you to another session of our class. Today, we'll be looking at the inheritance systems in Ghana. So, inheritance. What is inheritance? What goes into inheritance? How many types of inheritance systems do we have in Ghana and all that? So today we'll be looking at the image over there. We can see beautiful family gathering, right? With children and adults all together. So we have already looked at the family system, described the importance of the family system in society. We look at the extended family, we look at the nuclear family and the advantages and disadvantages. So we are moving on to another section of the family system. So we are going to look at inheritance, like I said earlier on, inheritance system in Ghana. Okay, so without wasting my time, let's kickstart. So we're looking at our lesson outcomes. What are we going to discuss today? So we'll be discussing the concept of inheritance, what inheritance is all about, explain the Ghanaian traditional system of inheritance, that is patrilineal and the matrilineal. So we have the patrilineal and the matrilineal that we'll be looking at. Then we'll discuss the interstate succession law, or the PNDC law 111. Then when we have time, we look at the effect of inheritance system in Ghana. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Let's really look at what inheritance is all about and the introduction to our lesson. Introduction. So according to Isaiah 38 verse 1, God forewarned. So God cautioned. He warned the king, or he sent a message to King Hezekiah through the prophet Isaiah to make arrangement for the distribution of his properties before his demise or before his death. It means that today we are going to look at when someone dies and he leaves properties behind. How are these properties, or how is this property going to be shared among his family members? So that is inheritance. So when when someone dies and he leaves properties behind, who is going to succeed the person who is dead? And how is this property going to be shared if he has multiple wives, or he has a wife and children and other relatives? How they are going to go about the sharing of the properties? Then we go into how property sharing, or how succession, after someone dies, how succession and how property sharing was done in the olden days. Then we look at how it is done in our current world now. So let's continue. So let me take it again. According to Isaiah 38 verse 1, God forewarned King Hezekiah through the prophet Isaiah to make arrangement for the distribution of his properties before his demise. So the Bible is telling us that a message was given to King Hezekiah through Isaiah to tell the king to note certain things down on how his properties will be shared among his children. If a thing like this is said, then it means that there are a whole lot of things that are going to happen after his death. How his children are going to behave and how family members are going to behave. Okay, let's continue. This warning makes it clear that each person will die at a predetermined or unknown time. Yes, death is inevitable. We don't know when we are going to die, and everyone is going to die. So how best are you going to prepare so that after your death, good things will continue to happen, rather than worse things happening after your death. So it's incumbent on every individual or every reasonable human being or every sane human being to lay down things or plan that his properties are going to be shared, or after his death, what are going to happen, or what is going to happen to his children and his wife. Or if it's a wife, her children and husband. However, there shouldn't be a room for any uncertainty after one's demise. Like I said, there shouldn't be something bad or something evil that will happen after your death. To guarantee that issues are resolved, we should make plans by creating a will. A will. What is a will? We will look at it. What is a will? As we can see from the image, we have a will over here, and we have testament over here. So it has the person's name and certain information. We will look at it. So to guarantee that issues are resolved after your death, to see that good things continue to happen after your death, we should make plans by creating a will before departing. Before we leave, before we die, we should make sure that we have a will before we die. Since the plan will determine who receives what and who administers what. The will that we lay down will tell us, oh, I have 9 children and I have 9 houses, I have 7 houses, or I have some land and some properties. How are these properties going to be shared for my children so that it doesn't bring confusion and conflict among my family members? There has been a lot of instances where people die and the serious or severe conflict among even the children and other relatives. Sometimes when someone dies without this document, this will, the family members will come and evict the wife and the children from home, and these children will end up on the street, and even fending for themselves is difficult for them, or will be difficult for them. So we should make sure that before we die, we put down certain plan or document that will tell our family members that when I die, they should go to this person, they should go to that person, and that document is a will. So let's define a will. A will is a legal document that defines how a deceased, the dead person, how a deceased person's properties should be shared among family members. Yes. So let's go back to our drawing board. So assuming we have Mr. Mensah. Mr. Mensah is dead. He is the deceased. He's dead. But he was so smart that before he died, he laid down a will. So Mr. Mensah had a will. Okay. Now the will spells out certain things, how his property should be shared. So we will not go deep, but we will give a brief explanation of how things are being done, or what the will will contain, or things that will be inscripted in the will, things that the will contain, like I said. So imagine Mr. Mensah had children. Mr. Mensah had 2 children. And his properties. He left certain lands, 2 houses, etc., and other properties which we call the residues. Okay, so assuming and the surviving spouse, that is the couple that is living, so the wife, the surviving spouse. Okay. Now, Mr. Mensah is dead. He was smart enough to have written a will down. He has 2 children. He left land, some houses, and other properties. Then there was also a wife who would take care of the children. So how are these properties that he left? How is it going to be shared among the family members? He belongs to the nuclear family and also the extended family. So does it mean the extended family is going to take all the properties, or does it mean the nuclear family is going to take all the properties, or the extended family will also be involved in the properties? As we continue our lesson, we will get to know all that. Okay. All right. So let's take the will again. A will is a legal document that defines how a deceased person's property should be shared among family members. So this document that we see over here, yes, that is a will. And you could see the man with the pen writing his name and filling certain document. And already this has been written by his lawyer, and a copy will be given, has been written, and a copy will be given to him to save, and his lawyer to also put one down, so that in case anything happens, the lawyer, after he's dead, the lawyer can come around and spell everything out. That will ensure, so the will ensure a state of tranquility. That is what, a state of tranquility in the absence of the deceased person. That will bring peace. That properties will be shared amicably, or things will be settled well among the family members after his death. So, what is inheritance? What is inheritance? Now that we've seen what a will is, we said a will is the legal document that defines how a person's property should be shared. Now, what is inheritance? Inheritance, it is also called succession. That is, when someone dies, the person who succeeds, if your father dies, who is in charge? So the person succeeds. So inheritance is also called succession, to succeed someone. And to succeed someone, what does it mean? It is the transfer of a property to a successor upon the death of what? The owner. So when someone dies, someone succeeds the person, and the person who takes over the person who is dead or the disease, he also takes over the properties of that person who is dead. Okay, so let's move on to things that can be inherited. What are some of the things that, when we take over the dead persons, when we succeed the dead person or the disease, what are some of the things that we can inherit? We can inherit his property, his private property. We can inherit titles, titles like, certain kingship and other things, chieftaincy titles and all that. We can also inherit debt. Yes, of course. If you want to inherit, the properties, when there are debts too, the moment you succeed a person, you should be ready to pay the debt as well. So in certain privileges, things that the person enjoys and other things, some right and obligations, yes. There are certain titles that goes with certain privileges and certain right and obligations, so responsibilities. So you should be ready to oblige to all those responsibilities or obligations. In the modern society, the process is entrenched by law. So in current or in this modern world, all this inheritance system is entrenched by law. It's seen by law. The law sees to the inheritance system that we have. Okay. Or is written in our constitution on how properties and everything has to be shared. Okay. Now, we'll go on with the traditional system. In the olden days, how were properties being shared after someone dies? Let's forget about currently how it is done or by law. Now let's go on to how it was done in the olden days. So, system of inheritance in Ghana. Ghana's customary law regarding inheritance. So our custom, how is it done? Customary law regarding inheritance has been divided into two broad categories, namely the patrilineal system of inheritance and the matrilineal system of inheritance. So we have the patrilineal and we have the matrilineal system of inheritance. Okay, so in our next slide, we are really going to go deep into it. Look at the full details of the two categories or the two broad topics under inheritance. Let's move on to the next slide. So we start with the patrilineal system of inheritance. Patrilineal system of inheritance. So looking at a picture over here, we could see a man with his children. He has, in this picture, we can see 4 children, the old one or the eldest and the other young ones over here. Okay. This term is derived from the Latin word pater, which means father, and linear, which means thread. So the father's lineage or the father's side. So you inherit from your father's side. That is what we are looking at. So that is patrilineal. So you mentioned father over here. It means that we are going to inherit from our father's side. It is a system of inheritance where children, males, inherit from their father's lineage or their father's side. So let's go back to our drawing board and look at something. Patrilineal. Patrilineal system of inheritance. Okay, so they said children inherit from their father's side or their father's line or lineage. Okay, so this is the father. The father dies. So when the father dies and he has children, males, females. So he has 3 males and 2 females. Normally in the patrilineal system of inheritance, the males are the one that succeed their father. They take over their father's property and they determine how things are going to be done with the properties. So if your father dies, if one male, is the male who is supposed to succeed the father, not the females. So children inherit from their father's lineage or line, and especially it is the males who inherit from their father's side. So let's continue. In this inheritance, children are regarded as the properties of their father. Yes, the children belongs to their father in the patrilineal system of inheritance. Children are seen as properties of their father, not their mother. But in terms of succession, only males can succeed their father. We made it clear. Due to that, the naming tradition, so when they are naming a child, every program that it is done in the father's house. So due to that, the naming tradition, inheritance of properties, privileges, titles, and social status is done from the father's lineage. So their father's side does virtually everything, not their mother's side. Children and wives in patrilineal families take the surname of their father. Yes. Also, when their sons marry, their wives become part of the patrilineal group and live with the husband's family. That is it. So mostly if it's extended family, you are going to live with your husband in his home. Patrilineal ethnic groups include the Dagombes, the ethnic groups in Ghana that practice the patrilineal system of inheritance. We have the Dagombes, we have the Dagaris, we have the Kukumbes, all those in the northern part. We have the Ewes, we have the Gans or the Gadangwes in the greater Accra region. So the northerners, the Ewes and the Gadangwe, they practice the patrilineal system of inheritance. So we should know that the Gadangwe is made up of the Gan people and the Dangwe people. Okay. So that is patrilineal system of inheritance. Children, especially males, inherit from their father's side. So when their father dies, the property goes to the males, or the males succeed their father. Now let's look at matrilineal system of inheritance. It's a system of inheritance. So let's put it this way. If patrilineal, children inherit from their father, then matrilineal, where do you think children should inherit from? Their mother, of course. So not their mother per se, but their mother's line. So we look at it. So matrilineal inheritance is a system of inheritance where kinship is passed down through the maternal or the mother's line, or children inherit from their mother's side or their mother's lineage. In Ghana, the Akans practice matrilineal mode of inheritance. So this is mainly the matrilineal system of inheritance is mainly for the Akans. Children are regarded as heirs from the mother. So this one, children also belongs to their mother, and children their mother's line or their mother's family. The children belongs to the mother's family. Only females pass on kinship to their children. That's what I'm saying. The children they inherit from their mother's side, not their father's side. In this system of inheritance, the father-child bond is less. Yes, it's not patrilineal, where the father has too much bond with the children. Here, the children are all into the mother's line. So, the father-child bond is less as compared to the patrilineal mode of inheritance. Due to that, some of the responsibilities that used to fall within the purview of fathers are handled by the mother's brother, uncles. In this system of inheritance, uncles play a pivotal role in training the children. That is the matrilineal. So matrilineal system, we said children inherit from their mother's side. Now let's make it more practical over here. Okay, so you belong to Mr. Deban's family, and since matrilineal system is practiced by the Akans, you know this is the Akans. So let's assume your mother and father are all Akans. Okay. Let's assume this. Your mother and father are all Akans. Now, this is you. So let's use some drawings here. This is you. This is your father. And this is your mother. Okay. Now, since we inherit from our mother's side, when it comes to inheritance, we don't go to our father's lineage unless we belong to the patrilineal system, where we look at the Northerners, we look at the Ewes and the Gandangbe, they inherit from their father's side. But when it comes to inheritance, and we have to inherit someone, we don't inherit from our father's side, but we inherit from our mother's side. So we go straight to our mother's line, and our mother's line is made up of our mother's uncles. Sorry, it's made up of our mother's brothers. So our mother's brothers are our what? Uncles. So when it comes to succession, we go straight to our mother's line. And who are we going to inherit from? Our mother's brother, who is our uncle. Do you understand? So when it comes to the maternal system or the matrilineal system of inheritance, we inherit from our uncles. So our uncle, wife, and children will not inherit his property. We, the nephews, we will inherit the property. So with the matrilineal system of inheritance, we go to our mother's line or our mother's lineage or our mother's family, and we inherit from our mother's brothers, who are our uncles, and they are the people that we inherit from. But we should note that our uncle has a wife and children, but his wife and children will not inherit his property, or we will be the one to inherit our uncle's property. That is the matrilineal system of inheritance. There has been a lot of argument on this patrilineal and the matrilineal side. People argue, why should my nephews succeed me when I die, not my children? Yes, because that is a system that has been put down. Now, let's look at something. Someone will argue, so sir, if My mother is an Akan. That means I'll inherit from my mother's line, maternal line. So I'll inherit from my uncle. Good. And if my father is an Ewe, and they are at the paternal side, does it mean that I am privileged to inherit from my mother's side? And since these people also enjoy the paternal, am I at privilege to also inherit from my father when he dies? The answer is yes. Okay. Now, let's move on to the intestate succession. What is intestate? We will explain it. Another method of inheritance in Ghana is the intestate succession. Now, to die intestate means one dies without making a will. Intestate. That is why they brought the intestate succession. There were a lot of disadvantages concerning the maternal system of inheritance and the paternal system of inheritance. So the law or parliament sat down, or legislative regulations, they came up with intestate succession, which means that if someone dies without writing down a will on how his properties are going to be shared, the law should take over and share the properties so that at least every member of the family will be at peace. So that is another method of inheritance. So to die intestate means one dies without making a will, and to die testate means one made a will before he died. Get the two differences. Intestate means you died without a will. You didn't write down a will, you just died. But if you die testate, it means that you were able to write down a will on how your property should be shared before you die. Now, what are the two differences, or the two advantages, or the advantages of both the testate and intestate? One, let me put it this way. What are some of the challenges? Now, with the intestate, if you die and you did not write a will down before you die, it means that the law will have to take over and share the properties, and it wouldn't be the sharing of the properties wouldn't be how you wish it will be shared. But if you were able to write down a will, that one, you write the will based on your own desires. 2 should go to this person, 3 should go to this person, 10 should go to this person. That is it. But if you die without writing down the will, that one, the court system will come in and they will determine how it should be shared. And maybe if you were alive, that it wouldn't be how you would have wished it would be shared. So intestate succession, what is it? It is the procedure used to distribute property when someone passes away without living. So that is intestate. If you die without leaving a will, leaving a legal will, the close living relatives must share the properties according to state legislation. They will not go and just chase over the property and just share it anyhow. They will share it based on law, how the law says or states it. The government of Ghana passed the Intestate Succession Law, PNDC law, that is what, Provisional National Defense Council 111, on June 14th, 1985. According to the law, the houses and household chattels, that means everything in the house, maybe cooking utensils and all that, that's the house's chattels. So if the man has a house or more than a house or more than one house or two, and everything in it, all the houses and the chattels, the things in the house, must be given to the surviving spouse and children. That is the first one. When a man dies, his house must go to his wife. That is the one who is still living, the surviving spouse, the couple who is still living, and the children. The house and everything inside the house must be given to them. The court then determines how other properties will be shared. So apart from the house and everything, what other properties? bank account and all that. How are those things going to be shared? Let's look at the next slide. So the residues, other properties are called the residues. So the residues of the man's estate must be distributed as follows. So what are some of the residues? The residues can be debt. It can be bank account. It can be certain agricultural produce. It can be lands. It can be anything. Yes, these are other properties. Or these are residues. Okay, so the court determines how it should be distributed among the family members. So for children, we have 9/16. 9/16 will be given to children. We have 3/16. So the bigger part will be given to children, the wife. So 9/16 will be given to children. 3/16 will be given to the mother or the wife who is still living. And 1/8 will be given to the surviving parent. That is, if it's a man, his mother and the father. So if your grandparent, that is it. So a man's mother and his father, they are the surviving parents. They'll be given 1/8. And the other 1/8, the court will determine how it should be shared to other members of the family or the next of kings or other either nephew, nieces, and other people, how the 1/8 should be shared to them. So we have 9/16 given to children, 3/16 given to what? The wife who is still living, and 1/8 given to the person who is dead, his mother and his father. Then the other 1/8 will be shared to other members of the family. Okay, so we'll be finishing very soon. Move on to the effect of the inheritance system in Ghana. We look at the positive effect and the negative effect. Now, has the family system really bring about challenges, or it has really brought about good things to family? So effect of the inheritance system in Ghana. Let's look at the positive aspect of the inheritance system in Ghana. When someone dies and properties are being shared, what are some of the benefits it gives to those that are succeeding him? So one, inheritance give us the privilege to inherit the properties of a disease for continuous stage. Yes, this is very important. It means that if the person even have companies or something and the person dies, someone has to succeed him, and that is inheritance. Imagine it's said that when someone dies, nobody should succeed him. It means that the person company is going to collapse. Yes, or people will have to steal things from the company. So inheritance has made it possible that when someone dies, we should succeed the person. There should be someone to succeed the person, and the person will help. If the person has companies or other businesses, the person who succeed him will make sure that the company continues. That is one benefit of it. So it gives us the privilege to inherit the person. So we take over the person's property for continuous stage, so that we can continue what the person was doing before he died, so that the family will continue to survive. It allows recipients, those who inherit, or those who take over, it allows recipients to make important investments and contributions as their retirement benefit. Yes, so if it's children who takes over their father's property, it means that the children also continue to invest the money into other businesses, make money out of it, so that even when they retire, they will continue to live on those businesses or those investments, and their children will also continue to enjoy, so that when they retire, things will not go bad for them. It serves as a great investment for the remaining family in future. Yes, if a man dies or whoever dies and leave properties for his children, their future is secured. If he leaves debt, then that is where the issue is. If the family is not well to do, they will struggle to pay the debt. And he leaves huge debt, his other properties will have to be sold to pay those debt. That is it. And there are times or there are situations where the person have so many debt, or so he has accrued a lot of debt down, and he has died. And even when they sell his properties, the properties will not make out for the debt. And his children will be the one to struggle, or his wife and children will be the one to struggle. That one, when it happens like that, you could see that the other members of the family will not come in when they are dead. They will not even give a penny. They will leave everything on the wife and the children. But why is it that mostly when there are other benefit, they would like to take over the benefit? Why is it that with the matrilineal, when an uncle dies, his nephew will not come and pay the bill? Because they are debt, he will not come and pay. But if there are no debt, he would like to come and inherit, and which is a very bad one. It's a very bad system, which wasn't really helping the people. But one way or the other, it has its own advantages that we will look at. So, one positive effect too about the inheritance system in Ghana is investment-minded children. So, children who are investment-minded or investment-oriented can invest the money or sell the property and invest the money they have accrued into businesses for profit. Yes. So that is one thing about inheritance. It helps us to continue businesses that are left for us. It also helps us to make a lot of money, and so that at least when we retire, we will be okay. And it also helps the families to build its future. Also help us to make a lot of profit. And it serves as a surety foundation. Yes, for the succession of grand and great grandchildren. Yes, it helps us to make properties down for our great grandchildren or for our grandchildren. That is one thing. There are certain people, when they receive a lot of gift or certain inheritance, they are able to make a lot of properties for the family, which make the family benefit a lot. When they need any help, they call on you to help the family. So these are some of the positive effect of inheritance system. Now let's move on to the next slide and look at the negative effect of the family system in Ghana. Negative effect. On the picture, we can see something. Confusion going on. Let's look at the effect. Less knowledge, especially people who have no knowledge about how things are or how properties are going to be shared, they easily get angry after the properties have been shared. So less knowledge about inheritance may create conflict and destruction of properties. Yes, people destroy the property so that at least no one will enjoy it, because they have no knowledge on how things are supposed to be done. So it will bring a lot of conflict. Then, people who live extravagant life will just misuse the money. They will squander the money. Some people would like to live big lifestyle, and they can't realize whatever monies have been given to them, whatever they have inherited, they will waste all the money on unnecessary things. That is one disadvantage. If you die without making a will, your properties may be distributed according to state norms and not your desires. That is also one disadvantage. How you want it to be done will not be done that way. The state will take charge of it and use its own norms or its own regulations to share the properties. It encourages laziness. Yes, especially during the matrilineal system of inheritance, where nephews know that they will inherit from their uncle. Most of these nephews will not like to work. Some of them don't even like to go to school because they know their uncle is rich, and when their uncle dies, they will take over the property. So most of them are very lazy. Let's take this one again. It encourages laziness, since most successors, those who succeed, tend to rely solely on the properties given to them. Yes, they didn't even work for it. They rely on it. They are waiting for their uncle to die. As a result, they do not do anything meaningful for themselves. That is it. They do not do anything. But if you look at the patrilineal, you know that when the father dies, the children are the ones who are going to inherit the property. And you, the father, when you know that your children inherit your property, you are going to work hard. You are going to work hard. But unlike the matrilineal, where nephews know that they will take over and not their uncle's wife and children, so they tend to misbehave, and most of them even misuse the money, spend it on unnecessary things. It creates serious conflict between or among children, yes, and other family members, particularly when it comes to property distribution. There have been times during property sharing that you could see the other members of the family, other relatives, fighting with the man who is dead, his family members, his children and wife. They will fight with them. Sometimes they even eject them from the house, and a whole lot of things, confusion here and there. So these are some of the disadvantages. One, it brings about conflict among family members during sharing of properties. Two, if you do not make a will, you know the state will take over and share the properties without. It wouldn't be based on your desires, but it will be based on the law. Then most people, it brings about laziness because most people will not like to work. They are waiting for their uncles to pass on so that at least they will inherit their properties. And it can also lead to squandering of properties or monies or whatever will be left behind when those family members or children or nephews who inherit live some extravagant lifestyle. They will not invest the money into something else. Most do not invest because they didn't work for it. They were just there, and on a silver platter, they were just there and it came, they inherited it. So, they begin to they don't even know how to go about the resources that they've been given or they have inherited. So these are some of the disadvantages or negative systems or negative effect of the inheritance system that we have in Ghana. Now let's look at the next slide, what it has for us. Suggested ways of improving the indigenous inheritance system. Yes, with the inheritance system that we have, the patrilineal and the matrilineal, what are some of the ways that what are some of the things that can be done to make sure that even if that is what we are being used, or that is what is being used, or that is what we are using, how best can it really help family members? The indigenous inheritance system, although not bad, yes, some aspect is not bad, some aspect is bad, can be improved to make inheritance process better for families. Below are some of the ways. Now let's look. 1. The patrilineal system of inheritance must acknowledge women as part of the family. Of course, that is one disadvantage. It do away with women. It does not promote women empowerment. That is one disadvantage. When you finish with this one, we look at the advantages of both and the disadvantages of both. It does not bring about women empowerment. Since males are the ones that inherit their father, so sometimes women don't have a say in the family. Males are the one who takes over. So it must acknowledge women as part of the family, and that will help. You give birth to 2 males and 3 females, and the males are the one who are in charge. What of the females? Or sometimes wives don't even have the power to alter words, or wives don't have the power to even make decisions in the family because they are the patrilineal side. It's not encouraging. The intestate succession law is legal policy intended to protect family during the allocation of a deceased person's property. As a result, it must be respected as such. Of course, if the law is the intestate is the one that is really helping, if someone dies without a will and the law will come in and share the property, then we have to respect. That is one suggestion, that the intestate has to be used. Do certain aspect of the intestate is really not helping, but it has to be amended so that at least good things will go the good way. Policies should be implemented to ensure that children and widows in particular have defined ownership rights. Of course, when a man dies and leave a widow and the children are around, the property should go to them, period. Whatever their father left, if it's debt, it should go to them. If it's good investment, the children should be the one to inherit it. Why will we toil with our father? Why will we allow our nephew to come and inherit the property? How? Imagine if it's a house and our father was building it. We were carrying cement, we're going for blocks, we're helping our father to doing all these things. If it's a wife, the wife was giving ideas to the husband. All those things was supporting the husband, and the husband was able to put up a very nice edifice or building. Then after the man dies, nephews to come and inherit the property. How? It's not even only property. Sometimes when it comes to chieftaincy aspect too, that is it. We have the Ashanti kingdom over there like that. If the Asantehene dies right now, his nephews are the one who will come and inherit the throne, not his children. And that is one negative aspect of this matrilineal side. Of course, he himself inherited his uncle. Other relatives should also be. Sorry, I brought two. Other relatives should also be excluded from benefiting from the departed relative's possession by law. Of course, the law should make sure that nobody inherits apart from the wife and the children. They toy with their husband or their father. So nobody should be part of the sharing of the property. The children should be, if the man has children, the man has children, the children are the ones who are supposed to take care of the property. Their job is to make sure that the departed children get rightful ownership of the properties. Yes, the other members of the family, they should make sure that if the man dies, nobody challenges them or nobody fights them. The property should go to them. But some people also argue with that. What if the wife was the main reason why the husband died? Or what if the wife was the one, or the children were the one who killed their father? Why should they be the one to inherit the property? And that is the other school of thought where people can also argue it from. And it makes sense. So there are both advantages and disadvantages here. So we have this work that we have to do for me. But before that, we will go to our drawing board and look at some of the advantages and disadvantages of the matrilineal and the patrilineal system of inheritance. Now, there is a reason why the matrilineal system will see to it that nephews are the ones who inherit properties and not wives and children in the matrilineal. Let me break it down. Okay. Now, let's say we have Mr. Ban. Right. Mr. Ban is an Akan. And he's married to, Ajo, who is an Ewe. Okay. So let's look at these two scenarios. And Mr. Ban has a sister who we know that has a son who inherits Mr. Ban. Okay. Now, people argue with that. Mr. Ban is an Akan, and the wife comes from a different tribe or from a different family. Why is it that when Mr. Ban dies, the properties will go to the wife and the wife will take it to his family, which means his tribe? Why? And the sister or the other family members, the properties will leave them and they will struggle. That is the reason. Mr. Ban is on account. He has made a lot of property. The wife is an Ewe. In the patrilineal, it is argued that why should my brother die and his properties will go to his wife, which she will take it to her family and not the Akan family? Therefore, when Mr. Ban dies, his sister's son should be the one to inherit him so that the property will continue to stay in the family. On the Akan system. That is their reason. So now I hope you get it. Okay. Now let's look at the advantages of the matrilineal. There is security for children. There is security for children. So property is inherited through the mother's line, ensuring that women and their children are cared for. Yes, so to make sure that there is much security, the sisters and their children, his children, or other members of the family, when it passes through the sister, it will also reach the other members of the family. So there is security in the family, or there's security for the children. That is one. Two, there is protection of family wealth. There is protection of family property. The property will not go to other family, but it will rather stay in this family. Example, if Mr. Ban belongs to maybe the Ban family and he dies, the property will continue to stay in the Ban family because the sister also has the name Ban. So the property will still continue to stay in the Ban family and not other tribe or other family. That is this. So wealth stays within the extended family and support multiple generation. That is what I said. So what wealth or properties are still going to continue to stay in the Ban family, and it will continue to help all those children under the Ban family. That is one reason. Three, there is support. There is supporting system, or there is support network. There is support network where uncles are the ones who take major responsibilities of their nephew when it comes to education, when it comes to a whole lot of things. They support them. They support them. So let's look at the fourth one. There is women empowerment. There is women empowerment. In the matrilineal, women also make decision. Women are very strong, and they make sure that the women are also what have some say in decision making. Not in the patrilineal that males are the dominant or males dominate, but here women also have a say in most of the family decision. So look at the advantages. We said what? There's security for children, of course. The children in that Ban's family, their future is secured because their uncle has made a lot of property. So the nephews will be the one to, so that the property continues to stay in the family. There's protection of what? Properties, or protection of wealth. So the property continues to stay in the Ban family. And there's support network, or the uncles in the family, not even one uncle, all the uncles in the family will support their nephews, and their nephews will also continue to support like that. So it brings a lot of what? Support for the children in the Ban's family. Then here they also empower women because they inherit from the mother's line. So mothers also have a say, or mothers also take part in decision making. Now we have time. Let's move on to the disadvantages of the matrilineal system of inheritance. So disadvantages. In here, the man's children will not inherit the properties. So properties goes to nephews, which is really bad. You talk with your father, then the property will go to, or you talk with your husband, you struggle with your husband, the property goes to the nephews, the sister's children or sons, which is not encouraging at all. There is a lot of family conflict. Family conflict, especially when the uncle has a lot of nephews, and they really will have to, there will be a strong conflict on who to succeed the uncle. So there are a whole lot of conflict in the family on who to succeed the uncle. It brings a whole lot of confusion over there. And 3, unlike the patrilineal, where the father bond is there, here there's no father child bond. Yes. The father child bond is really reduced. It's reduced because they belong to their mother's side. Everything will be done in their mother's side. They also inherit from their mother's side. So that is where the issue is. And it also a disadvantage to wife. It's a disadvantage to wives. Why is it a disadvantage to wives? Especially the widow. The widow will struggle because the properties, if you are a man and you die, the property is not going to your wife and children. So your wife will suffer to take care of the children. If your wife is not doing a good job or does not have a good job to take care of the children, she will struggle. That is one disadvantage. Then we move on to advantages and disadvantages of the patrilineal system of inheritance. So, advantages of the patrilineal. I'm just writing the point, so please make sure you get the explanation that I'm doing. Okay. With the patrilineal system, where children inherit from their father, when their father dies, the male child or children succeed their father. This is one advantage. There is strong nuclear family bond. Yes, that family bond is there. So the children know that they will inherit from their father. So whatever their father does, they are with their father. They are supporting their father. They are helping their father. So that kind of bond is there. They are able to relate well with their father. Unlike the matrilineal, where children relate rather well with their uncles more than their father. Here, properties are passed on. Properties are passed on directly to children or to male children. You know that the moment your father dies, the property is coming straight to you. If you are the only male child in the family, you know that the property is coming directly to you. No two ways about it. So properties are passed on directly to children. There is also leadership stability. Leadership stability. So over here, chieftaincy or chieftaincy titles remains in the family. It does not go anywhere. Yes. It goes direct to the children. You know that if your father is a king or your father is a chief, you know that right after your father dies, you inherit the title, that chieftaincy title is also coming to you. So that is the leadership stability. There is stable. There's that stability over there. So titles and everything go straight to the children. And it brings about personal investment. Personal investment. What do I mean by personal investment? I'm a father and I know that right after my death, my children will inherit my property. My property will not go to anybody. Therefore, since I don't want my children to struggle, I'll work hard. That's personal investment. I'll work hard so my children will enjoy the fruit of my labor when I'm no more. Let's look at the disadvantages of the patrilineal system of inheritance. Now, here people argue that there is discrimination among women, because you look as if it's the male children that inherit the property, or everything is done at the male side, and sometimes even wives don't even have a say in most decision making. So since they don't inherit from the mother side, they rather inherit from the father side, men are seen as what? As the those in charge. Men are seen as those in charge. So that is one aspect of the the disadvantages of the patrilineal system of inheritance. It discriminates among women. With the patrilineal, sometimes too, it can bring about conflict. Conflict among children. We have seen in instances where the father dies and children, the elder children, and if he's the elder son and the younger, they would like to argue on I'll take this, I'll go this, especially if the person dies without leaving a will. So it brings a lot of conflict among the children and other members of the family. There is serious family dispute or serious family conflict among the family members. It also neglects widows, girls. Yes. If a husband dies, the wife and daughters may be ignored in property sharing. That is it. It neglects them. When they die, the property will not go to the widow, It's the male children that will inherit the property. And it also leads to greed and injustice. How does it lead to greed and injustice? Some male relatives may manipulate, some male relatives in the family, they may manipulate inheritance processes for their own benefit. That is it. They do manipulate, they do, use some devious means so that the property will come to their side. That it brings about greed. And it also brings about what? Breakdown of extended family ties. What do I mean by this? If we really look at the patrilineal system of inheritance, there is major emphasis placed on the nuclear family. If we really look at it, there's major emphasis placed on the nuclear family, where a man, wife, and children only, if we look at it carefully. And with the matrilineal has to do with the extended, because other family members come in. The nephew inherit from the uncle. So that is the extended side. So here, if you're not careful, it will break down the extended family, where if only the focus is only placed, or the emphasis is placed on the nuclear family system. That is it. Especially only children inheriting from their father, the male children. So it breaks down the extended. It doesn't give that kind of respect or that kind of consideration to the extended family side. And that is one disadvantage. Children may grow up not even knowing or considering their extended, their uncles, their nieces, their cousins. They will take everything to themselves, and they don't even care who the extended family side is. So there are times children inherit properties and they don't even go to their villages and all those things. That is the issue. So these are some of the advantages and some of the disadvantages of the extended family system. So we'll bring our class to an end, and these are the exercises that you have to do for me and after the lesson. So explain the concept of inheritance. So what is inheritance? Explain it. Discuss the system of inheritance in Ghana. So the system of inheritance that we have three. We look at the patrilineal and the matrilineal. Mainly that is the two before the intestate succession. So discuss the system of inheritance in Ghana. We have the matrilineal, patrilineal. Discuss it. Then you can add the intestate, also tell us something more about it. Identify 4 positive and negative effects of each of the inheritance system in Ghana. So with the patrilineal inheritance, tell me something about it, and with the matrilineal system of inheritance to discuss it for me. Tell me the effect and tell me the effect, the negative effect and the positive effect of the disadvantages and the advantages of the patrilineal and the matrilineal system of inheritance. All right, thank you and have a blessed afternoon.
Online classes, we're feeling the vibe. Learning together, we always strive. With Sir Alex Kwanzaa, we lead the